Yo, what's up, guys? Terrell here to bring you a review for to seasonal talk Sam's One Piece discussion. Do you think Skypiea was relevant to the story of One Piece? And he's in the whole. I mean, all right. First off, go subscribe to seasonal talk Sam. This will be a video response to him, so you'll be able to click the video response link, whatever. But anyways, just here to throw in my 2 cents. For people who say Skypiea is probably the dumbest, or not really the dumbest, but like the most pointless arc, I'll give you that. But but that's only in the realm of One Piece arcs. I'm not talking about in the series itself. It's pointless because it does have its moments, and it is required to be in the story. Like you said, Sam. You said that if we took Skypiea out, we wouldn't be missing much. Nah, you'd be missing a couple of things because it plays a key point in a lot of the beginning Water 7 stuff. Let's put it this way. For one, we get two of Zoro's newer attacks in this arc, which is the 106-pound cannon and the 3,000 worlds. We get a little bit more character development for Chopper in this arc. The whole man thing. You get the shit with Usopp. You get like the prequel to the Water 7 fight with Luffy and him. With the whole Mary stuff about the whole hinting that Mary can fix itself and shit. And it's actually kind of hinted more at during this whole arc that the boat is fucked up. Literally, it's hinted like a motherfucker in this arc. The boat is fucked up, and it's continuously being fucked up. I mean, and the course of between and when you say you skip the shit with if you're saying this whole arc is pointless, it's kind of saying the whole Mock Town arc is pointless too, because that's a part of Skypiea. Like almost all the shit Bellamy talks shit about to Luffy and Zoro wouldn't have transpired if it wasn't for the whole Sky Island crap. Because that was the main reason why Bellamy made fun of him. I mean, it didn't really mean shit in the end. You know, Luffy knocked the shit out of him. I'm just saying it's kind of necessary to the story. Also, we're introduced to Don Flamingo, which we wouldn't have gotten introduced to. Well, actually, that one's kind of debatable because honestly, that's bullshit. I mean, technically, we wouldn't have got introduced to Blackbeard. Let's put it that way. Because the shit with Bellamy had to transpire the way it did, and Blackbeard probably wouldn't have said anything. We didn't even know that was Blackbeard. We just thought that was some random dude. Since like legitimately. Another thing is the whole part about the Water 7 stuff I was relating to. The whole shit with Mary that happens during this entire arc is brought back in Water 7, which is one of the main reasons why the shit at the beginning of Water 7 transpires. Also, the one thing about this arc that I don't think you remember, the gold. You know, the gold. That was one of the major things that caused a lot of shit in the beginning of Water 7. Like, we wouldn't have met Frankie if it wasn't for the gold that they stole in Skypiea. Because that's the main reason why Frankie even had a conversation with the Stripes, is because they robbed them of the gold. That was it. That was the main reason. Well, they robbed them of the money they got for the gold, I guess I should say. That's a huge thing. Because, you know, Frankie being a crewmate, our introduction to Frankie wouldn't have been the same. They probably wouldn't even have fucked with Frankie. The only reason why they were fucking with Frankie is because Frankie had beat up Usopp and stole half. What was it? It was either all or half of the money. I think it was all the money. That's a huge thing. Actually, that kind of kills the whole point of Water 7 in itself. Because the original reason they came to Water 7 was to fix the ship. All the shit that happens with the ship doesn't happen until Skypiea. Like, the ship doesn't really go through any type of, like, collateral damage. Except for maybe the ending of Alabasta. Where they got, like, the pipe stuck in it. And even that wasn't a big enough deal. Considering the person who ends up inspecting the ship, well, no, that probably would have still played out. Actually, no, it wouldn't, because they wouldn't have had the money to get the ship right. That's the problem. Like, the events of Skypiea carry over. It's probably it's probably the most pointless arc in One Piece, but it's not a pointless arc in itself. It does have things that carry over, and besides, the obvious hockey shit. But it is necessary, because certain things in Water 7 wouldn't make sense without the stuff in Actually, we need to think of Foxy, because Foxy came before that. But still, the shit in Foxy or Water 7 wouldn't have made sense. Well, yeah, it wouldn't have made sense without, the shit in Skypiea. Especially the gold stuff. If anything else, the gold thing is probably the most important thing. Because they wouldn't have had anything to bet during the Foxy arc, the David Back arc, because I mean, that was the whole thing about that. That was like a whole bunch of pirate betting and shit. They couldn't have betted anything like a real value if it wasn't because of the whole, you know, they had the gold to bet and to get more shit. And I think they got more shit from the gold, which just made up for it. The Water 7 with Frankie stuff, our introduction to Frankie would have been completely different. I don't even think Luffy and Usopp would have had that fight if it wasn't for if Water 7 hadn't played out the same way. Because Luffy and Usopp originally had that fight because of the strain from the shit with Mary, on top of the strain from him getting beat up and all that other ridiculous stuff with Frankie. All that wouldn't have transpired. Actually, he wouldn't even have wandered away from Luffy and them to get, you know, captured and beat up if it wasn't about the money. The money was a huge issue, and the gold became a huge issue by proxy. I'm trying to think of other things that are very important. Oh yeah, the whole gold. Master King JC mentions in the comments the whole Ghost D. Roger signing his name on the bell thing. It's not that big of a deal. I mean, the thing about Sky Island is it's one of those optional adventures. Literally, it's an option. It's kind of like a sub direction they took. And I think the main reason why I think it's like that is because Oda wanted to, like, what's the best way to put it? I feel like this was during the period where Oda realized he wanted his series to go longer. I feel like Skypiea, the entirety of Skypiea, was him planning out other things in the future while working on Skypiea. Because you can tell it's kind of half-assed in Skypiea in certain points. I mean, obviously, you compare Alabasta to Skypiea. Alabasta beats the shit out of Skypiea. I think he originally meant for the series to end after Alabasta. Because after Alabasta, that's like 20-something volumes in the manga. So, I think he originally planned it for Alabasta to be the end of the series. And I think after Alabasta is when he made the conscious decision, I'm going to keep this going. So, we get a kind of a fucked up Skypiea arc. I mean, Skypiea is not bad. I think the thing about Skypiea is that Skypiea gets better after rewatching it. Like, Skypiea doesn't suck on its like second or third viewing, but it's fairly annoying in your first viewing because it feels so out of place. And that's because I feel like Oda probably during the same time was deciding I'm gonna have my manga run for another another decade. Well, technically it would have been 15 years from that point, but still, you get my whole thing. One Piece wasn't one of those shows, you know, we know Oda didn't originally plan for his series to run this long. So I think Skypiea is kind of just the fucked up point where he was making that decision, which to me, I think is better than what Naruto tried to pull, which was the 80 episodes of Kishimoto trying to figure out what the fuck he wanted to do, and you know, that's what we got, but I'm going into another thing. But, I mean, as far as Skypiea is relevant to the story, because Skypiea was necessary. It was deemed necessary. It doesn't stop being necessary, I'm just saying. But, you know, actually, thank you for posting this video. This is a One Piece discussion I don't mind talking about. Because this is something that's been an issue with One Piece in general. Skypiea arc always seems like that fucking, that monkey on your back. And oh wow, that's a horrible pun considering the name of the main character of the series. But you get the whole spiel. But yeah, that's my response. I do think it's relevant. You know, the gold situation, the new attacks from Zoro, the whole building up to the Water 7 with the boat and the gold stuff. It's kind of necessary. The Goldie Roger reference, the hockey reference, I feel like it is necessary to the story. It's probably just the least necessary. It's like it's the least needed. It is needed for Water 7, but after that, Skypiea is not an arc that will be re-referenced. Unless it's in terms of, like, Inaru. That's it. It's not going to get... Oh, yeah, and one other thing I forgot to mention. The dolls. Usopp incorporated that fucking thing into his attacks like a motherfucker. That Kabuto is pretty much an ascension of, like, 6 or 7 dolls, man. That's a big thing about Usopp's weapon. Even though that weapon doesn't show up until further bark. But that's not the point. The whole point is that, you know, it's still necessary. The doll stuff was the other necessary thing. But, yeah. That is my response. Tell me what you guys think. Go watch Season Talk Sam video to get his view. My response is way too fucking long for a video that was only like 3 or 4 minutes. So, I'll see you guys later. Peace.